this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
Carrie will probably be joining us mid-episode. Of course, we will have no heads up when that happens, so she'll just appear on your screen if you're watching on YouTube, as if from out of nowhere. And if you're on audio, she will just appear as if from out of nowhere. So that's a thing that's happening. There's lots of news this week. The epic Apple trials in week 2, and we got just as many ridiculous stories this week as we did last week. Just an insane trial. I love this thing. It's one of my favorite things ever. So I've been playing the same things that I played last week because I'm in a holding pattern until Friday, and Returnal's still very good. I still can't get past the second biome. I've gotten to the third phase of that boss fight a couple of times now, and I just need to figure out how to avoid his attacks in the third phase. But it's still really good, still really fun. The only thing that I don't like about the game is that the story does stagnate at a certain point when you can't pass a biome. Like you get more story by moving on in the game. So you get to a point in like when you reach a certain biome, or when you reach a certain point in a biome where you just kind of have to beat it to actually learn more about what's going on.
I bought Returnal,
but you haven't played it yet.
I've only played like 6 or 7 runs.
Okay, yeah, that's not very much in the context of that game.
No, I've gotten to the first boss, and I'm having a bit of a tricky time. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I don't recognize the pattern. I'm just not like fast enough to avoid things yet.
Yeah.
And I keep getting like, I prefer like the assault weapon.
Sure.
But I don't get it a lot. And I think I need to be better with my resource management. Just because like by the time I'm at the boss, I don't have anything good. Mm-hmm. I have my pistol. And I refuse to pick up a shotgun.
So like I haven't used a shotgun on a boss yet, and I don't feel like it would be good, but I kind of want to try it with the second biome boss, because the problem with the second biome boss is that his attacks come much more like fast and furious. Mm-hmm. And it really is like even more than the first boss. Like you have to be patient and wait for your opportunities to strike. So I almost feel like that dealing a shitload of damage would be better than kind of just picking away at his health slowly but surely. I agree with you that the carbine is so far the best weapon that I've come across. And you haven't even gotten to any of the new weapons yet because you started.
Yeah, I haven't even touched anything else yet. Yeah. I got a pistol that I'm being forced to level up, and the carbine if I'm lucky. But it's a very fun game. It's frantic and fast paced, and there's a lot of effects going on. Like it's
never feels unfair. I know that's something that a lot of the folks say about the Souls games, especially, where when you die, it's because you fucked up. And I do get that sense from this game. Like it's very much, I'm never mad at the game when I die. Like I'm always like, oh, I should have seen that guy coming in, flanking me from the side, or I was being too aggressive and I should have been smarter.
They give you enough. You got the map. You can see where enemies are on the map depending on your adrenaline level. You can see where they are kind of through walls, and they give you and there's like a danger indicator around you. Like they give you enough where you can they even give you a quick reload. Mm-hmm. If you reload within the window.
Well, that becomes even more essential as you get better guns, because a lot of those will have enhanced damage that those bullets deal if you overload properly.
Oh, like Gears.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. Like Gears.
Yeah. So they give you they give you all the tools. So if you mess up, you just need to get good.
I will say, like, if you're having trouble in the game, not you specifically Micah, but just anyone listening. I have found that I tend to do better when I remember that my melee attack is really good and I get a little bit more aggressive in people's faces. Because the melee is excellent. Like it's an excellent damage dealer in the game. So I would recommend if you're having trouble to melee more than you think you need to, especially against like the tree enemy, and then there's also like you start fighting the sentinels in biome 2. You want to chunk them as much as you possibly can. So anytime you can get up in their face and hit them with your sword, you're much better off.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. I think I've seen all the enemies in this first biome, and then all of a sudden those big tree things come, and I'm just like, yo, where did these things come from?
They're
like,
the worst, and the sentinels are kind of like them because they do the teleport shit as well, where they just kind of appear behind you all of a sudden, and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, man. I was just like, God damn, like this thing is still introducing new enemy types to me. Like, damn, I've seen the boss 3 or 4 times now, and they're still introducing new enemy types.
I'll tell you this though, those challenge rooms can fuck themselves. Like those challenge rooms are insane. I understand the rewards are great, but I avoid those things like the plague usually because it's usually not worth the health that I had to sacrifice to deal with them. So well, new stuff though this week. So let's we're playing Returnal now, but we're not going to be playing Returnal at least in the short term for very long because here's what's coming out this week, Mike. We got Hood, Outlaws and Legends, which to my understanding is like a online multiplayer Robin Hood game. It's coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. You got the Wrath of the Druids DLC coming to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which comes to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Stadia. You got the Famicom Detective Club, which I know Carrie is looking forward to. That comes out on the Switch. Quantum Replica comes to PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Subnautica is releasing on the Switch this week, and the Subnautica Below Zero DLC is coming out on all platforms that Subnautica exists on, except for PC, which it already exists on. And then on Friday, a little game, little indie title from a small studio in Vancouver, even though they probably had very little to do with this edition of the game, comes to PlayStation, PC, and Xbox that goes by the name of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yes.
I can still barely believe that it's actually happening.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild. Like how old is Mass Effect? Like Mass Effect is like 10 years old.
Mass Effect 1 is 13 years old, I think, at this point.
That's wild, man.
14 years old at this point. It came out in 2007.
Yeah, this is wild, man.
Yeah.
I'm really happy. Look, I know it's just a remaster of an old game to people who don't care, but no, it's not though. It's not, especially Mass Effect 1. I'm very excited to hear people's reactions for people who enjoy the series but gave up on Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'm very excited to actually play through Mass Effect 1 instead of playing up until up through the parts on the Citadel, and then I stopped because I'm just like, oh god, this game, like I don't feel like driving this damn truck around. There's
a reason why some of the best Mass Effect characters all originate in 1. And it's because that's the team, that's the group, right? Like those are the people that you ride or die with, right? Like the folks that are introduced in 2, about half of them are good, about half of them not. One of them's great. A couple of them are good. The rest I can do without.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody remembers anyone who was introduced in 3. But you all know Garrus, you all know Tali, like you all know Rex. Like that's the team. And the story, I think the story is a little stronger overall.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Mass Effect 2 story is more interesting, but
one has the most cohesive story because the problem that 2 or 3 has is that there's just a lot of implausibility considering the stakes, because you're basically like running errands
Yeah.
to help facilitate a larger goal, but very few of the errands have anything directly to do with the larger goal, whereas one has a progressive narrative that unfolds throughout the game, and it's all interconnected. Yeah, one definitely has the most cohesive story of them. Two tells the most interesting stories, plural, because you have the loyalty missions for everybody that really give insight into their character and who they are and the things they're dealing with and that kind of stuff. And then three is like, the whole game is like the last 4 hours of a Metal Gear Solid game, where they spend a lot of time tying up loose ends and stuff like that, while still introducing some new things. But three is putting a bow on a lot of long-standing subplots, both between characters and in the world in general.
Yeah, it follows the classic like film trilogy format, right? Like usually the first film is solid. It's solid enough to get a sequel. The sequel is the dark middle chapter that's incredibly interesting. And then the third one is just kind of like, hey, we're getting the band back together. Here's a bit of a victory lap for the franchise. And it follows that progression, right? Like two is usually everybody's favorite in a trilogy. And this trilogy is no different, right? Like two has like you said, some incredibly interesting stories, and the it's made better by the characters that are in part one that go to two. Their characters are completely fleshed out. Like they are, like Garrus becomes incredibly interesting. Liara, who was okay in the first movie, is awesome in two. And she gets a DLC dedicated to her.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I am looking forward to it. I can't wait. I took off Friday because I'm that kind of guy.
I wish I could have. I'm taking a Friday off a little bit later this month, but I probably should have done it for this, because I'm going to be thinking about it all day. And I already warned my wife. I was like, whatever you need from me this week, like get it before Friday, because as soon as Friday 5 p.m. hits, you're not going to see me for the rest of the weekend probably.
Have you seen the trophy list?
I have not yet. I saw it released. I'm going to take a look at it later, because I think I want to try to plan out my path.
You're gonna have to, especially with Mass Effect 1, because it's Mass Effect 1 to platinum that, just that by itself is multiple playthroughs, because you have to use different abilities a certain amount of time. So that's multiple playthroughs. You can do 2 and 3, I believe, in one playthrough if the trophies still stick. But there's also there's the Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 trophy lists, and there's the Mass Effect Legendary Edition trophy list.
Now, do they all have a platinum?
I believe they do.
That's interesting.
I think they do. So you could get 4 platinums from this game if I remember correctly. But they're gonna put you through your paces. Like it's like, to get the Legendary Edition platinum, you got to beat the 3 on Insanity.
I don't know about that. So we don't typically dip around segments on the show, but I feel like we have to now, because we're on a Mass Effect tangent here. So we go to the post office for 2 questions. First from Johnny. So are Brad and Micah going to play anything else besides Mass Effect for the next few months, or is this a eat shit, see you in the fall situation? Should we bother to ask you what you've been playing for the foreseeable future? Thanks for carrying the show for us, Carrie. So look, I'm definitely primarily going to be playing Mass Effect for the next 6 to 8 weeks, or however long it takes to grind through 120 hours worth of the Mass Effect trilogy. However, I can't just cannonball a single game. Like, I have to throw some stuff out there that's different, just as a palate cleanser every once in a while. But the stuff that I'm going to palate cleanse with is going to be the same shit that I've been playing, which is Returnal, Warframe, and Diablo. Like, I'm gonna just probably keep playing those 3 games. The only thing that might get me is if the reviews for Ratchet and Clank are just off the chain. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't wait until I'm done all 3 Mass Effects to play this. So once I'm done Mass Effect 1, I'm gonna dip into this and have some fun with it, and then play, and then start Mass Effect 2 after that.
Yeah, I'm going to play some Guilty Gear that comes out in June. I'm going to play. Well, I don't know about Ratchet and Clank yet. I'm
Mhm.
kind of at a holding pattern. Like I like Ratchet and Clank, but I'm not terribly in love with Ratchet and Clank.
Mhm.
Like you said, if they're like this game is the reason you should own a PS5, if that's the consensus, then yeah, I'll get it. Um, and I think that's it, right? Like those are the only games that I know that I have on my radar that are coming out. I don't know about Final Fantasy Interlace or whatever it's called, because I'm not a Yuffie fan. Like I find that character to be incredibly annoying. Um, so we'll see.
And then we're going to go to Cam, who says, "Are you guys going to go into the Mass Effect trilogy planning to play the same way you did the first run through, or will you completely switch it up to see how that feels?" Now, the problem for Micah answering the question is, I think he's played it every which way you
Yep,
could play it, pretty much.
I've played it 6 different times, 6 different ways. So what I'll probably do is I'll start with the techie side because with like engineer or something like that, because those skills that you get with those classes benefit you in very difficult playthroughs.
Mhm.
Um, whereas, if I'm just like, because I really want to get like the difficult playthroughs out of the way,
Mhm.
as much as I can. Although anything that has to do with biotics, that's just like having a good time, right? Like that's just like because that's not how I play, right? Like I don't charge, right? Like I charge back and then forward and punch. I don't charge forward and then shoot somebody, right? Like that's not the only biotic that's good for me is singularity, and
Mhm.
it's a dot biotic, and and all of the engineering moves are dot moves
Mhm.
for the most part. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with engineering. Now the question is, am I going to be male or female? And if I am male, am I going to be because I use the default character skin
Right.
when I played the male, because the voices for the looks that I had, it just didn't work. So I always use the default male skin. But I'm very curious to see what type of different features they have for your created character, particularly the hairstyles for the men and women. That will determine whether my shepherd is a male or female shepherd.
So I'm going to go totally opposite because like I said, I've already experienced the game a certain way. So I played engineer in my first playthrough with male shepherd, and I played primarily renegade. So I'm probably going to go complete opposite there. I'm going to go, female shepherd, mostly paragon, but I'm sure there's a few renegade moments that I'm still going to
Oh,
partake.
you got to punch what's her name in the
Oh
face,
yeah, absolutely. And then
especially as a female shepherd. Like doing it as a male shepherd looks kind of bad.
and I'm gonna go Vanguard because again, Vanguard is also not my generally preferred play style in these type of games. And Adept is too magey for my liking. Like I like shotguns, I like getting in people's faces. So Vanguard is definitely the way to play. Um, in terms of that, and that'll and the other cool thing about that is it encourages you to use different squad mates, because obviously, like, typically you pick your squad mates to complement, what you're doing essentially. So
Mhm.
I always carried biotics with me in my squad in previous playthroughs, but now I don't need to worry about that as much. Still good having an adept on the team just in
Yeah.
case. But no, I'll be able to have more tech folks with me and things of that nature as well. So yeah, I'm definitely going to mix it up, just so it's a little bit different. than my first experiences with the game. And like I said, then I could put it down and come back to it later on because I'll have it digitally. Because we're in the present day. So I can't wait. Like I said, it still doesn't feel real. Like I don't feel like it's gonna feel real until I'm actually like booted up and playing the game. So
yeah, I'm waiting for Wednesday when the download is there.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like,
well, see, I still haven't pre-purchased the game because I'm still like scared off from just the massive games that have come out that have released in buggy states. So I feel like I'm almost waiting for the reviews to drop, but I don't want to wait. Like if the reviews are embargoed until release day, like I want to pre-download it before before the game comes out. So
no, I know what you mean. Like I'm not I'm not doing that a lot. Like I didn't do it with Returnal. I'm not doing it with Guilty Gear. But this is something that no matter how buggy it is, at one, can't be as buggy as the first Mass Effect. It just can't. And two, I'm gonna push through it.
Yeah.
But no, I completely understand.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the extended new releases session this week.
Join us on Discord. Go to densepixels.com/fans. And join us there. You can post messages in the post office anytime you like, and we will answer the new ones. There's a lot of different channels there. Gaming news, streaming. If you got a stream you want to promote, just go right to the stream channel. Looking for group if you you want to Destiny raid or whatever, you can look there.
Yeah, Vault to Glass coming back.
Yeah. So there you go. Go to densepixels.com/fans to join that Discord. Since you're, at your computers or your phones, go to youtube.com/densepixels. And you can see our beautiful faces. You can also subscribe to all of the TMP Studios podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Shows like the Nerdpocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political podcast with Brad is going to be on this week. I really enjoyed the show without Jay. I really it felt different, but similar. Like it's still the very crass humor, but like not as much uppityness that you get from Jay.
Definitely 100% less bougie than is.
Go to densepixels.com/premium for $5 a month or $50 a year. You get access to the premium slate of podcasts, including The Airing of Grievances, No Time to Bleed, The Men with the Golden Tongues, Upstage Conversation, and the full episode of the Look Forward Political podcast. I've talked to Jay. We are going to get back to recording Airing of Grievances on a weekly basis. We got 2 in the can. We got the 7 and we got the Caddy.
I think 7 released today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, the 7 is available right now. I believe the Caddy will be available sometime next week. And we're gonna get back on these because we're like you said last week, we're right there. Like we just gotta push through, man. We're at mile 21, for God's sakes. So we just gotta push through, and we are doing that. Also, good news: the Men with the Golden Tongues have met, and they have decided that June is when we are going to start those back up, and we got something special, something that listeners of this podcast will appreciate. And I know we keep saying that. I kind of want you to guess what it is. We're not going to tell you yet. I kind of want to see who's paying attention.
Yeah. It's going to be great. We get to review GoldenEye Rogue Agent. That's not what it is.
And look forward every week. It's that's worth your $5 alone. So densepixels.com/premium.
So we're getting to the end of the COVID crisis slowly but steadily. But that doesn't mean that conventions and mass gatherings are still a great idea. In that regard, Gamescom has decided to ditch the hybrid convention that they were planning for later this year, and instead have decided that they're going to do an all digital event once again in 2021. They said that they made the decision after extensive discussions with partners and exhibitors. So once again, you're going to get Geoff Keighley hosting online for Gamescom starting August 25th. It's going to run through August 27th. It's obviously going to be free for everybody. This is just good sense. We don't need to rush back to any of these kind of things.
Yeah.
And there's not, it's not like there's a whole lot you can do at a in-person convention besides get your hands on games that you can't do with a digital convention.
Do you think that things will go back to status quo, or is the digital event, is the hybrid event going to be a thing, the new norm?
I think that you're going to continue to see folks lean into the streaming / digital side of things more than they might have in the past, more than just streaming a press conference. For one, it's cheaper to produce than an in-person press conference. Two, it's a lot easier to get eyes on it with folks, because it's one thing, like, much as I did enjoy the on stage press conferences from back in the day, most of them, not all of them, were great. Looking at you, Ubisoft in general.
Who doesn't like Mr. Coffee?
I've seen that dude in person way too many times. Much as I enjoyed those when they were really good, a digital presentation is just more effective. I think it forces the companies to focus on the games a little bit more, instead of droning on about figures and having a middle-aged white guy on stage talking about a topic for way too long when you could be showing things. So again, I think those days are gone where we really rely heavily on that. In-person's tricky, right? Because the real reason that E3 and conventions like that are so important is not necessarily for Joe Gamer to get his hands on shit. It's for journalists to be able to congregate in one place easily, to see a bunch of people and make appointments and things of that nature to cover stuff. So I think in that regard, you're going to see that. I would not be surprised if they pulled back on the public facing portion a little bit more, though, just to limit things, or at least in 2022, based on how COVID and things like that continue to progress.
And that's how it used to be, right? Especially with E3.
E3 up until a few years ago was not necessarily press only, but you had to be in the industry in order to attend. Now, in the industry was a pretty fluid term.
Yeah,
Aaron Scott to go one year because he worked for GameStop, That's about as in the industry as you needed to be, but you still couldn't just be some random ass dude getting a pass to E3.
Right.
So we'll see about that. But like I said, I'm happy to have the digital conventions. I'm kind of excited about E3. I sometime soon before E3, I want to talk about what we expect from the fall, because right now doesn't seem like a whole lot, but I also know that E3 will probably have a lot more stuff in store that we don't know about yet. So
yeah,
be interesting. EA has purchased a studio that is of particular relevance to me. They have picked up Metalhead Software. And the reason that's significant is because Metalhead is the Canadian game developer known for making the popular Super Mega Baseball series, which I took quite a shine to last spring. This will be the first time that EA has made a baseball game, or published a baseball game, since 2007, whenever the next Super Mega Baseball game comes out. This is great news for the studio.
Yeah, this is the dream, isn't it?
This is the dream. This is the dream. I'd be ignorant if I wasn't skeptical about what this could mean for the Super Mega Baseball franchise in general.
What are you what are you what are your fears for this, right? Because you could see the positives are all over the place, right? They get more money, they get an influx of people, more people working, better tools, maybe even that MLB license,
Yeah,
right?
100%. 100%.
So you see all I see the positives, but I'm trying to find out where the negatives are, from maybe a studio or consumer standpoint.
So from the studio standpoint, the biggest negative is that you have someone who's holding the purse strings, so they get to dictate release schedule, they get to dictate features that they want in the game, things of that nature. While the MLB license would be cool, I don't necessarily need it. Like, it's kind of fun that Super Mega Baseball exists on its own. It's kind of like a wacky, like, the presentation is more cartoonish, obviously. And I don't necessarily know that I'd want Major League Baseball superimposed on that, nor do I want them to make like a straight line MLB game. Like, I kind of like the personality of the different characters and the teams and things of that nature as well. My fear, obviously, because it's EA, is the first question they're asking is, well, how can we monetize this game? How can we put microtransactions in? How can we shoehorn Ultimate Team in some way, shape, or form into this, that we're buying card packs and things of that nature? What does this mean for different game modes that are fun in the game? Or, the thing that is really neat about Super Mega Baseball is that it offers a lot of customizability between designing uniforms and logos and making new teams and new players and, making leagues how you want them to, like structuring them. And they have online franchise that you can customize, and they're like, you could really tailor the game to work how you want it to. And just having it, like, if EA leaves them alone to do their thing, cool. Like, that's fine. Like, you would hope that, seeing how successful that the game has been, that they don't want to get too hands-on. But again, it's EA. Like, when has this not been something that they have found a way to fuck up, right?
So how's what's it called? Apex Legends?
Yeah.
How's that doing, right? Because
Apex is doing great. I'm pretty sure that I don't know where it ranks in the top 3. Like, it's either 2 or 3, but it's in that top 3 of like online service, like free to play service games. Like, Fortnite and Warzone are firmly entrenched in that top 3. And to be fair, EA has kind of let Respawn do their thing, just because it's been super popular, and it doesn't seem like EA's had a whole lot of direct interaction there. But Apex Legends is also one of the most uber successful games on the planet that's ringing in the cash register in ways that Super Mega Baseball never will.
Yeah.
So Respawn's going to have the leeway to do that because they're making a shitload of money, and EA is going to say, that's the golden goose. We're not going to mess with that.
Yeah.
Super Mega Baseball will be popular, but it's still a niche game. Like, it's appealing to a niche market for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hear you. And a lot of that is just me playing devil's advocate.
No, I appreciate that, because, like I said, people might not understand. Like I said, overall, it's stability and things of that nature for the studio, especially, is a great thing, and I'm happy for them. And I think that this will be a net positive. But I just hope that they don't ruin what makes that game special. Like, I don't need Super Mega Baseball every fucking year. I really don't. Like,
yeah, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that EA. There's a lot of evidence to prove your weariness. It's justified.
So Nintendo, Micah, is selling all the Switches, and they're making all the money. So in 2020, Nintendo earned an operating profit of $6 billion, and its second best ever year of revenue at $16.6 billion in the
Goodness
year
gracious.
2020. Thanks partially to the pandemic, I'm sure. But just staggering. Animal Crossing, I'm sure, huge as well. The Nintendo Switch has sold over 84 million units. And the thing that publishers really like to see, 587 million games sold so far for the Nintendo Switch. At this pace, Switch is going to exceed even the PlayStation 4 in a couple of years.
This is wild, man.
Which is impressive.
This is very impressive, particularly because, of all the different options now that there are to get your game on, right? Like not even just consoles, but, phones and, whatever Google's doing. And it's very, very impressive.
So just because I love
consoles. Jesus.
Just because I love more numbers. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, still the best-selling Switch game at over 35 million units sold, putting it in the hands of more than 1 in 3 Switches, essentially. Coming up on its heels, though, Animal Crossing New Horizons, 32 million copies sold after just 1 year of release.
Jesus.
Which is
I'm very proud of myself for not
holding
succumbing to FOMO.
You don't want to make it 32.6000001 copies sold?
I think they're okay.
Well, that's okay because you own most of these other games. Super Smash Brothers, Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and Mario Odyssey each have sold more than 20 million units.
Wow.
And Ring Fit Adventure has sold 10 million units so far.
It's wild, man, because we grew up as like Nintendo kids, right? And they were, they and one other company were the only game in town for a long time. And to see that Nintendo is still, they still know what the people want to play is amazing to me. Like you say what you want about whether or not you like some of the games that they make. I mean, it don't matter if you like them. 84.59 million people do. So, yeah, man. Wow.
So Nintendo keeps cruising along. And like I said, we're going to get, like, I guarantee you it's going to exceed PS4 just because we are going to get whatever the premium version of the Switch is at some point. And I would promise you that at least 20 to 25 million current Switch users will upgrade to that new system, if not more than that, honestly. So some bad news for Sony. So they're facing a class action lawsuit related to a decision that they made in 2019 that prevented third-party retailers, so your Amazons, GameStops, Best Buy, Walmart, Targets, and others, from selling digital game codes that could be redeemed on PlayStation consoles. Now, you could still purchase PlayStation Network cards, of course, and then buy them through your PlayStation. But you used to be able to buy digital game codes through these stores as well. The class action lawsuit alleges that Sony is operating an unlawful monopoly where people end up paying 175% for downloadable games than they would buying games on physical disc. Saying, quote, Sony's monopoly allows it to charge super competitive prices for digital PlayStation games, which are significantly higher than their physical counterparts sold in a competitive retail market and significantly higher than they would be in a competitive retail market for digital games. So I have a little bit of insight to this because of my former employer. Here's the thing. The cost of a digital game code for PlayStation when I worked at GameStop was generally whatever it happened to cost on the PlayStation Store at the time, or even not, because when the PlayStation Store had sales, those didn't always translate to the digital codes that GameStop sold. And often, especially for games that have been out for a while, physical copies of those games would be less than the digital copy would, because the digital copy was still sitting at whatever the MSRP was, and the physical copy was discounted, whether the publisher discounted it or if GameStop decided to discount it. So I don't really feel like this lawsuit merits a whole lot of consideration, because even when they did allow retailers to sell digital game codes, the price was still kind of fixed by them. Like, it was their decision on how much to charge for it. I mean, I guess in theory, you know, a retailer could charge less if they wanted to, but that's up to them, because they're eating the loss, because the margin is based on the price that Sony decides it is, and the margin is the same no matter what. And the margin on digital games sold through code is the same as the margin on digital currency for the PlayStation Store. So I don't really understand where they're getting this 175% number from.
Yeah, like you're trying to tell me that, I mean, theoretically they could do this, but it wouldn't make much business sense if, let's say, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 comes out and they decide that the base price for the digital copy is going to be $120,
right,
as opposed to the physical copy being 70. Like that doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, yeah, they have the potential to do it, sure, but that doesn't make business sense.
No. And what's more is that, so this PlayStation Store, and this goes true for the Xbox Marketplace, this goes for Steam, this goes for Epic Game Store, this goes for the eShop, are marketplaces just like any others. They're directly connected. So obviously they prefer you buy the game from them, because they're getting more money from you doing that. But sometimes sometimes the PlayStation Store will have sales that the physical copy isn't necessarily on sale. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. So yeah, I think that they're misled here. And that's the other thing too, is that physical game sales happen, like not the sale of the game, but discounts on physical games more often happen from the vendor than from Sony itself. Like, if Call of Duty gets discounted, it's not because Sony's discounting it, it's because Activision's discounting it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they discount the physical copy and not the digital copy, and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they do both at the same time. So I don't feel like this lawsuit is going to merit a whole lot. Obviously, it'd be nice to have a choice, but if the price doesn't change anyway when certain sales happen, then it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't I was reading this and I'm like, I don't get it. Especially the whole, you can still buy digital currency. Mm-hmm. But you can't. I don't know. I don't know. Yep. I don't know why you would. I don't like, if you're buying digital games. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you would shop anywhere but like your PlayStation Store. I don't know. Well, it can't be like for some random sale, right? Like, because yeah, they it doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and it happens usually on a regular basis, right? Like, you get a summer sale, you get a Golden Week sale where all the Japanese influenced games are sold. You get end of year sales, and there's usually like 4 big sales throughout the year,
and there's always just stuff discounted randomly,
right?
Right. Yeah, listen, I don't understand what this lawsuit's alleging, but we'll let them fight it out in court. We're not going to be talking about this the way we're talking about the Epic Apple lawsuit. More bad news for Sony. They have told Bloomberg, and this is coming from the Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki. This is a quote from him concerning the PS5. I don't think demand is calming down this year, and even if we secure a lot more devices and produce many more units of the PS5 next year, our supply would not be able to catch up with the demand. So basically, Sony is saying that they will struggle to meet the demand of PlayStation 5 well into the year 2022. Of course, this isn't hurting them right now, because PlayStation 5 still the fastest selling console of all time. So like I said, even though you can't buy it, they're selling every single one that's producing. Again, the chip shortages that are affecting the entire tech industry as a whole show no signs of slowing down anytime soon. And this is far from the only industry affected by, increased demand from COVID-based situations and things of that nature. So stinks. Keep hitting F5, everybody.
Yeah, man. Look, if you want one, just keep looking.
Yep.
Someone told me that Walmart was selling some the other day. And, my brother-in-law is still trying to find one.
I feel for people that can't. Like I know that I'm very fortunate in how I was able to acquire one.
Yeah.
So were
you.
Yeah.
Shit.
So I get the frustration. I hope that everyone that really wants one is able to get one without too much angst. Ubisoft has decided that they're going to release a standalone free-to-play game in the Division franchise called Heartland. It's going to come out for PlayStation, PC, and Xbox sometime in 2021 or 2022. It's being developed by Red Storm Entertainment, who is the developer of the Ghost Recon games. You can register to try to get in on playtests for when they decide to do that. Apparently, there's also a Division game that's being developed for mobile right now, which I know Mike is very excited about as an avid phone gamer that he is. But yeah, so what do you think about a free-to-play standalone Division game, Micah? Or my take on it is that considering how many times Division and Division 2 have been given away for free, those basically are free-to-play games.
I don't know. I can't wait for this to come out and then for them to be like, but it's not political, even though it takes place in the heartland of America. And the whole premise is in foreign invaders are coming to invade the heartland of America, but it's not political. Yeah, I'm not. It's gonna be like microtransaction central.
Oh,
And,
very much so.
like, because you got they're not doing this out of the kindness of their heart, right? Like they want you to spend a lot of money on it. And the Division has a lot of fans, man. Like I get it. I will not partake in this. I think the Division is a little overrated. Um in terms of what it's trying to be, like a looter shooter. Like the idea is sound, but the execution is a miss for me. And I like all that military shit, man, but no. And this just screams cash grab. Um even more blatant than the already blatant Ubisoft cash grabs. So it's a no for me.
That's fair. I also am not that interested in Division. I really tried. I played the beta for Division 2. It just didn't grab me. I think it's like for me, military shooters, like if it's too far in the realm of reality, and I know in that game there's like gadgets and shit like that are beyond, things we have in real life. But yeah, I need a strong dose of science fiction. Give me space magic and things of that nature, and you got me. But
yeah, like it's the problem with this franchise is that it has no personality.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that it feels very designed by committee, right? Like we want a Destiny clone without all the story, heart, characters. That we want a Destiny clone that leaves zero impression. And that's what this is.
Yeah, like every Division boss to me seems like just some dude walking out in like 100 pounds of body armor that you have to unload,
that you have to unload 54 clips into to get them down to 75%. Like it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
So last but certainly not least in the news. So I remember last fall, I think it was Johnny sent in a post office question about an incident with Stephen Williams, otherwise known as his online alias Boogie, who had this like crazy stream with this like guy that was banned from YouTube who was harassing him and like showed up at his house, and Boogie came out with a gun and fired it in the air, and just a weird situation. Scary situation. Well, unfortunately, firing a gun in the air, like to threaten somebody, is a crime. It's called aggravated assault. And apparently, as of May 7th, Boogie has a warrant out for his arrest based on this incident, which happened in last October. So
better late than never, I guess.
It's possible the guy decided not to press charges until now.
No, forget that. No, you shoot a gun. First of all, don't shoot guns in the air. Don't do it. Bullets have to come down. Bullets don't just go straight forever. And
that's
just
how physics works.
so don't fire guns in the air. 4th of July, don't fire guns in the air. I always have to tell my wife around the 4th of July to get away from the window. She hears a pop and is just like, "Oh, what's that? It's fireworks." I'm like, "Get away from the window, please." And second, like, I mean, it couldn't happen to a better guy. I don't know this guy. I don't follow this guy. He doesn't seem like the type of person that I would follow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so like not to cast too much dispersion on the dude, but he kind of like, you know, revealed himself like in sort of like right-wingy ways, subtly. So like,
yeah,
I don't fucks with that.
Yeah. You can have a all right, yeah. A guy who thinks it's smart to fire a gun in the air might have right-leaning tendencies.
Well, I mean, look. He lives in Arkansas. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, so don't do that. Not to say that the incident itself was justified. Like the dude definitely should not have had to deal with this harassment. I hope
absolutely.
Other guy was coming to him, but
don't roll up on somebody's property. This is literally the scenario that they are talking about when they say, "I need my guns."
Yes.
When some rando rolls up onto your property.
And to be fair, like based on the circumstances surrounding the incident, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, not knowing his legal history, I wouldn't be surprised if, he wasn't facing serious punishment for this, like probation, something like that, or a fine. I don't expect him to go to prison for it. But yeah, don't, one crime does not cancel out another crime. Like it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. 2 negatives don't make a positive. This is not mathematics.
Yes.
If you want to get your handguns, hold on. Let me see if Amazon has handguns.
Speaking of turning negatives into positives.
If you want to get yourself an airsoft gun,
there you go.
You can go to densepixels.com / Amazon for all of your airsoft gun needs. When you go to densepixels.com / Amazon and type in handguns, pistols, I probably should not have typed that. You can get yourself a Glock 19 Gen 3 .177 caliber BB gun air pistol for the low price of $69.99. So if you want to take your life into your own hands, waving around an incredibly realistic looking airsoft gun, don't go to densepixels.com / Amazon for that. Don't do that at all. Go to
buy other things, like maybe not gun related things.
Yeah, go go to densepixels.com / Amazon and buy yourself a Eureka NEU 182A power speed bagless upright vacuum cleaner.
There you go.
Jesus Christ.
Holy moly. The Epic Apple trial is in its second week, and once again, our top stories is all about it, because there's some bangers of news and tidbits that have dropped out of the trial. The first piece is arguably like the thing that's probably going to become the most memeable thing from this entire endeavor. And that is that one of the arguments between Epic and Apple is whether a biped banana can be naked. So there's a character in Fortnite named Peely, which is an in-game character, which is literally a banana that has arms, legs, and eyes and a mouth. Like that's what Peely is, essentially. It's a walking banana. And I would assume talking because it has a mouth. Here's an actual exchange between the attorney representing Apple and Matthew Weisinger, who is the vice president for Epic Games for marketing. Apple's attorney. We have in front of us a new set of images, and what is this screen showing? Weisinger, this is your matchmaking lobby. Apple's attorney. And we have a large yellow banana here, don't we? In a tuxedo? Weisinger, yes, that is Peely. Attorney, and that's Peely, did you say? Weisinger, yeah. Attorney, and in fact, the tuxedo, he's known as Agent Peely, correct? Weisinger, that's correct. Apple's attorney, we thought it better to go with the suit than the naked banana since we're in federal court this morning. So Apple decided,
you gotta be court ready. You gotta put your one suit on to.
Upon cross-examination from Epic's attorney, they asked, quote, "Is there anything inappropriate about Peely without a suit?" To which Weisinger responded, "No, there is not." The Epic attorney said, "If we could just put on the screen a picture of Peely, is there anything inappropriate about Peely without clothes?" To which Weisinger replied, "It's just a banana, ma'am." Here's my problem with what I'm firmly on the side of Epic Games here, by the way, in this particular issue, because it's a banana. A banana is sheathed by a banana peel. So if the banana peel is still encompassing the banana by definition cannot be naked.
That is sound reasoning.
Yeah. Like I don't even understand. Now that being said, I'm looking at Peely right now, and I don't deny that Peely does look disturbing. I'm not gonna deny that whatsoever.
But to your point, like, what is a banana peel if not just a jumpsuit for bananas?
It's literally the dungarees of the banana of the banana universe, essentially.
Yeah, you better write that one down. Oh shit. This is amazing. This whole conversation, this stupid conversation that we're having is because of an even dumber conversation that's being had.
My favorite part is that it is the second time in the history of the Ned's Pistols podcast, the first time in like 7 years, that we've had a prolonged banana-based conversation on the show. Because if you recall, back in the palatial ground floor studio days of Dense Pixels, way back in the day, you introduced me Ray Comfort, the Christian dude who used bananas to try to prove that God was real.
Oh shit. Him and Kirk Cameron just sitting there talking about this is how God is real, because a banana, it's the perfect fruit. It tells you when it's ready. It tells you when it's about to die. You can eat it. It's got a tab on it. I was like, all right, Jesus Christ. Yo, what are you doing? Yeah.
Every time I eat a fucking banana, I think about that. It's ruined me for the rest of my life. So in actual like fucking serious stuff that's come out for the trial. So it was revealed, basically, a document came out internally from Epic Games that essentially showed that they knew exactly what they were doing when they embarked on this gambit, essentially. So there's an email from Daniel Vogel of Epic Games, who literally lays out the plan. If we submit a bill to Google and Apple with the ability to hotfix on our payment method that passes savings to customers, we flip the switch. We know we can get by without having to update the client for a couple of weeks. Our messaging is about passing on price savings to players. Google and Apple will immediately pull the build for new players and potentially take an even more aggressive stance. And basically, they were looking at how can we do this without making us look like the bad guys in the situation. So, like I said, we said back in the day when this first came out, as many others did, that Epic knew exactly what they were doing when they did what they did. This is proof positive of that.
Yeah, like don't. I don't want to see anybody going to bat for either one of these companies. I really don't. I want you to be like Biggie in the New Day, just eating your popcorn all ridiculous and just watching the show. Because
if there's a way for both companies to lose, I feel like that would be the ideal.
Yeah, man.
Ideal solution. I don't think it's possible. Something else came out during this trial, not related to either company, that also proves that the thing that we've been saying, that Microsoft does not give a flying fuck about how many Xboxes they sell, is 100% true. In some testimony that's been done in this trial, there's an interview, Microsoft's vice president of business development was testifying in the trial, Lori Wright, and an attorney asked her, has Microsoft ever earned a profit on the sale of an Xbox console? The answer to which from Lori Wright was no. Microsoft has literally never turned a profit on the sale of an Xbox console. The question that preceded this was, quote, if Microsoft sells consoles at a loss, why does it keep selling them? And basically, the response was because the business model is set up to deliver an end-to-end consumer experience, and they make more money in the long run over sales, game sales, and subscriptions than they do on hardware sales. That's why they want Game Pass everywhere.
That's why they're pushing it. Get it? You called it a long time ago, and that's exactly why they're pushing it. That's why they're pushing. That's why they're getting rid of gold, like you said. Like they want Game Pass, man, because that's how that's how you recoup all that money, and you don't even think about it. No. I don't even think I got to check my account to see if I have any money in there to make sure that I'm good for the next couple months.
Yeah. I mean, again, literally and Sony in many ways is the same boat. Like they're losing money on PlayStation 5s right now because selling hardware is the cost of doing business that you can get royalties from software. No tech company ever, with the exception of maybe Apple, has made money from selling hardware. And even Apple doesn't make a ton of money from selling hardware. Like they do, right? But they're getting money from the App Store and iCloud and things of that nature. Most tech companies will give you the hardware, not give it to you, but they'll give it to you from their perspective to make sure that you're buying software. 100% every single time. So yeah, so that's why, like, if you're like, oh man, like I don't really want to buy an Xbox, but I sure do want to get in on Microsoft's doing, just get it. Just use your PC. Seriously, they don't care. They're fine.
If your PC is good enough, use your PC. Yeah. If not, they'll help you finance an Xbox. They don't care. Really? Just get the thing and play Game Pass.
That's all they want.
Buy Game Pass.
That's all they want. So here's some interesting news. We talked about some of the just staggering amounts of revenue and profit that Epic generates from Fortnite last week. Did you know, Micah, that on the NFL skins that they released for Fortnite, just on the NFL skins by themselves, which were available for a limited time, Epic generated over $50 million of revenue just from these skins.
Wow. Jesus.
Yes. They sold 3.3 million NFL branded skins, which cost about $15 a piece.
$15?
Yeah. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Here's the thing, Micah. Here's the thing. That wasn't even the most popular and most successful skin that they sold. Obviously, the Marvel and Star Wars skins exceeded that in popularity. Marvel far and away the most popular. Star Wars a distant second, and the NFL right behind them. Third place, Travis Scott. I did not realize Travis Scott was that popular.
I don't know who that is.
Neither do I. I know he was on a McDonald's commercial, and you could get like the Travis Scott value meal or something like that. I don't know who he is. Travis Scott, to my knowledge, was the drummer for Blink-182, and then I heard like the Travis Scott like McDonald's thing, and I was like, the fuck does anyone give a shit about the drummer from Blink-182? And then I saw that it was a different Travis Scott, who is definitely not that guy.
Apparently, Travis Scott is a rapper.
Okay, if you say so.
whose real name is Jacques Berman Webster II.
You should have gone with like JBW or something like that. Behind Travis Scott was the Deadmau5 collaboration. DC coming in behind Deadmau5.
Wow, damn.
And then from there, John Wick, a logo that I can't decipher, Nike, Borderlands 3, so on and so forth. It's a lot of money though. It's a lot of fucking money just from skins.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Epic, not content to let Fortnite be successful, we found out that they offered Sony over $200 million to get 4 to 6 games, 4 to 6 PlayStation exclusive titles on the Epic Game Store. So that's not a surprise at all.
Yeah.
And especially because they're on Steam anyway. And they made it to the Epic, they made it to the Epic Game Store anyway. It's just that Epic wanted to pay them for exclusivity. As we talked about last week, $200 million for exclusives for a bunch of these games, considering what they paid for Borderlands, drop in the bucket.
Oh, yeah. Jesus.
So apparently the judge in the case was quite dumbfounded, though, coming back to Microsoft over Apple's xCloud policy. Of course, Apple not letting the xCloud app appear on iOS because they said, or Apple says, that they'd have to certify every single game on the service. Right? Like that's their justification for blocking this. So the judge in the case, Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers, basically like stepped in immediately. It was like, wait a second. I can use Netflix with an app on my phone, and I can see any movie or TV show that I want to on here. How the fuck is this different?
Right.
Than that? And you know something? She's right.
Yeah.
Like she's 100% correct.
Right. Like
if Apple's not going to rate, like scrutinize every single movie or television show that comes out on Netflix, this is literally the same thing.
Yeah. 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 Come on. Yeah.
Well, but so partner that with the thing that might actually end up hurting them the most in this case. So one of the things, or the biggest thing that Epic is kind of presenting in this case to show that Apple's full of shit is that they are pointing to Roblox as an example of how Apple is giving preferential treatment to some publishers and not others. So Roblox, incredibly popular game, not with folks like you and I and people listening to the show, but kids love it, absolutely love it. Here's what's interesting, Micah. Roblox also has their own currency that you could buy in the game, and you can buy it directly through the Roblox app without having to go through the App Store. Like you can direct pay Roblox for these things. So they were questioned about this. Tristan Kosminka of Apple was on the stand, and he was questioned by Epic's attorney. And basically he says, or his justification was that he compared Roblox to Minecraft and said that because like games, they have a beginning and an end and there's challenges in place. I look at the experiences in Roblox similarly to the experiences that are in Minecraft.
because it's not like a perpetual, like, because it's not a game that has an end. Like you can always play, like you can always pick up and play Fortnite or whatever. But they're arguing that Roblox, because it's finite, you can,
because it's not finite. That's the thing. Like, it doesn't have like an end of the game. Like, you don't beat Roblox, you just stop playing Roblox when you're bored with Roblox. But he's saying that those are experiences, so they're somehow exempt, and Fortnite is like a game, which makes it not exempt. But in reality, like, I guess in Fortnite you could say there's a beginning and an end because each match itself is self-contained, right? Like
that's an experience,
right? But you don't beat Fortnite. like
right. Not... I yeah.
And so Epic's argument is they're like, hey, they make exceptions for the people they want to. Here's the thing. Roblox recently, here's how popular Roblox is. Roblox recently did an IPO and went public and they have a $38 billion market cap. And if Apple were to ban them for violating the terms of service, that would be absolutely worse than what they're doing to Epic right now. It would create a shitstorm much larger than what Epic Games produced for them because of all the money that's involved, because of how popular the game is.
Jesus.
But I don't feel like I don't see how the judge is going to be able to look at an example like this and differentiate that from what Fortnite was trying to do. I just don't see how that's going to be possible.
Yeah, I don't see this looking good for Apple.
Right. Well, and here's the thing, they've made the exception for non-game companies as well. Like Amazon has an exception. Like when you buy something from your Amazon app on your iPhone, Apple's not getting a cut of that. So they do put exceptions in either when it suits them or when they know it would cause them troubles if they didn't do it, basically. And Amazon's a little bit different because, like, if you couldn't buy shit through your Amazon app, you could just do it through your web browser, like on your phone too. It's not like they can stop you from doing it.
Right.
But yeah, like the Roblox example and Minecraft also, to that extent, if Minecraft is getting preferential treatment, seems to me like kind of a stone cold, no way around this type of situation. So
this is this is wild, man.
The thing that's also kind of surprising about this, there's an interview from Red Valentine on IGN, or not an interview, but an article rather. And it's funny because the judge is kind of like aghast at this whole thing because of all the leaks that are coming out. And I say leaks, I don't mean like stuff that's not supposed to be getting out. I just mean stuff that's being presented as evidence in the trial that no one's ever seen before. And I think we're finding out, like, or well, at least the general public is finding out, like, how weirdly secret the game industry is. Which, by the way, is going to happen when you have a shitload of companies that are private companies operating and doing their own thing. But like, there's not very many video game companies that are public, and the ones that are don't have to disclose the fine details of their finances, like as long as they're reporting on revenues and profits and things of that nature and costs.
Yeah, they don't have to let industry secrets or whatever out,
right?
You know what I mean?
So yeah, but it's just interesting. Like, we're finding out all this stuff, like Sony really not liking cross-platform play and having to be like literally bought off to to buy into it. Like I said, all the information about how much revenue is going to developers when games go for free on the store. I really wish that video game companies were more forthcoming about this information. I don't expect them to ever be. But yeah, like the judge was like, yeah, she's like, I've received like so many motions from third parties asking me to seal information from this trial because she's like legit shocked that they don't talk to each other. And that there's like all this secrecy in the industry. It's funny. that you see it like this. And also because, again, this is also a weird case where there's so many third parties involved, because Epic has to show other examples of what companies do to show why what Apple's doing is fucked up.
Yeah. Like everybody's dirty laundry is being aired, and it's wild, right? Because nobody treats games seriously,
Right.
right? Because the word game is in it. So people think it's just like that. Nah, man, like this stuff is a business, man. It's just like everything else.
Not only a business, but a multi-billion-dollar business.
Right.
Like the game industry is more popular than the film industry at this point.
Right.
People fucking forget that, but it's true. And I'm not saying that even the biggest game is not going to stand up to how much revenue like the Avengers is going to generate, right? But the opening weekend for Call of Duty is going to be bigger than the opening weekend for literally every movie. like Call of Duty is generating like almost $600 million on release weekend. Even the Avengers did what, like half a billion, maybe.
Like that, yeah.
And that's like the tip top of the iceberg in that case.
Like, yeah. And with film, there's a reason why film really wants that big opening weekend, because that is the best time that they will get the most money, right? It's all diminishing returns. No second weekend is bigger than the first weekend, right? Gaming, especially these type of games, it's just constant money. It's a constant cash register, man. Like it's like death by 1,000 cuts.
Consider that. Look at how much money. How much did Infinity War gross worldwide?
It's probably like over $1 billion or something.
Okay. Let's say it's $1.4 billion, give or take. And again, that's the biggest movie ever. Like there is no movie that was bigger than Infinity War. EA gets that much
$2 billion.
How much?
$2 billion.
Fair enough. That is 2 years worth of EA revenue from FIFA Ultimate Team. That is half. Sorry, less than half of the yearly revenue generated by one Fortnite.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Endgame, the last movie in that Marvel slate generated 2.8 billion gross worldwide.
There you go.
And yeah, man. Like,
and again, that's a lot of money. That's a shitload of money. Do not get it twisted. That is a shitload of fucking money, but it ain't video game money. And I'm wondering how long it's going to take for civilians, for lack of a better term, to stop sleeping on the fucking game industry and to stop treating it like it's all kids' toys. It's
right.
It's a big money business. It's a big,
especially like, look, these CEOs, they don't know nothing about video games.
Yeah,
they know about making money. That's like, you think Bobby Kotick plays video game? No, the game he's playing is how much money do I have in this account?
Right.
Like, come on, man. It's all right. You keep acting like this is just for kids, man.
So I can't wait to see what new revelations we get next week. It's going to be so much fun. Again, for us, this is the trial of the century. It really is.
Yeah, man.
You're never going to see a bigger court case in the game industry than this, probably. or if you do, it's going to be for something that's way worse, like something that's legit bad that we probably don't want to see. So we go to the post office. Rev asks, okay, so I plan on attempting one of these rogue-like games during the summer, but I hear they're hard games. Is there one that is applicable for those who don't want that very hard or impossible rogue smoke?
The game that Brad and I really enjoyed, Hades. Hades has a very forgiving. It's a very forgiving roguelike.
Yeah.
You will die. That's the point. Like, it's part of the story. But they have I think if you die, I don't know if you can turn it on at the beginning or they
Yeah.
offer it to you if you die too much.
No, I
But
think you can turn on from Jump Street the God mode.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So in God mode in Hades, you will die, but you will gain more resistance after every death.
Mhm.
So if you die, you'll gain like 5% more resistance, 10% more resistance, all the way up to like 80 or 90%, more
Until
resistance.
you win, and then it resets again.
Yeah.
Essentially. So, and that so I agree with Micah. Hades is easily the most approachable roguelike game. The only problem with Hades is that it's only on Switch and PC. So if you don't own either of those platforms, you can't play Hades. If you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, it's a little bit tougher to figure out one to recommend easily. We've talked about Returnal. If you have a PS5, I don't necessarily recommend Returnal as your first roguelike because
Nope.
it is very much like a bullet hell game in and of itself, which has its own proclivities. You could go with the classics, I think. I think Rogue Legacy
Yep.
is a
That's
decent
it.
one to start with. That's probably the best, I would say. If you are into twin stick shooters at all, like if you played those, I've played a little bit of Enter the Gungeon and enjoyed that a lot. It's difficult, but it's not like soul crushingly difficult when you first start out with it. So that might be one too to check out. I was trying to think of any other ones off the top of my head that are springing to mind, but those are the ones in the forefront of my conscience. Yeah, Rogue Legacy, if you have a PlayStation or Xbox, is probably going to be the best way to get started in that genre. So give those a shot. And if you like them, then definitely move on. And here's the thing: like roguelikes get a lot of play. The key is to or get a lot of hype around difficulty. Key is to find one whose gameplay style matches games that you've played before that you're familiar with. So like if you've played any of the Metroid or like 2D Metroid or Castlevania games, you'll get on with Dead Cells better than you think you might, just because the gameplay of Dead Cells is so similar to those games. And then the roguelike stuff is just added on top of that. Not to say that Dead Cells is an easy game, it's not, but there's enough there to grab onto that's familiar if you have played those games, for example, or if you've played like Diablo before. Hades is going to be easier to grab onto just because it's got a similar aesthetic and gameplay style essentially. So
Also, I think people who don't know anything about them get hung up on the whole like repeated death thing. Look, in games, when's the last time you picked up a game and just finished it, right? Like you're going to die
right,
in any game you play.
in most roguelikes,
Um,
that's part of that's baked in.
right.
Like there's certain upgrades you get from dying, or like the whole point, especially of roguelite games, and I don't want to get in the difference between the two because it's a very nuanced difference. But in roguelite games, you will get much more powerful as the game goes along.
Yeah.
So it's not, you don't have to necessarily worry about dying those first couple times because you're going to get better at it. I also played a little bit of Curse of the Dead Gods. I haven't played enough that I wanted to get on the show and talk about it, but that was pretty approachable as well. That's on all platforms too. I felt like it's that same kind of Hades. That's Hades vibe. Put it this way: I on my first run on Curse of the Dead Gods, I beat the run. I know there's other bosses and shit to fight, but it's not often that you win on your first go around. So
Right.
Krajan asks, with the ongoing semiconductor shortage that seemingly won't be resolved for over a year and the expensive buy-in for TVs that can use the capabilities of the new console, like 8K or 4K 120 FPS, do you see the current generation lasting significantly longer than the previous ones?
Um, Not unless this semiconductor shortage lasts an incredibly long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm talking like years and years and years. Because technology is not going to stop. Innovation is not going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Simply because they don't have the physical resources. You can get enough resources to put a prototype together to still be working on something, and then you're by the time you have an idea for, Xbox SEX, you can the hopefully the shortage will be, you won't have to worry about the semiconductor shortage or the strain on the resources. So I don't really see, I don't really, no, I think this will be, will fall anywhere between the 7 to 10 like year lifespan. I'm hoping for like 10,
Yeah.
but
Well, see, that's the thing.
it's
So
not gonna stop.
I think even aside from the shortage of chips out there, this would have been a longer lasting console generation anyway, because they have been getting longer progressively, because again, you can do more to update the console through firmware that you couldn't do back in like the NES, SNES, and 64 days. And like you said, so like 8K is not really a thing yet. Like it is, but it's not. 120 FPS on 4K definitely is not a thing yet, and it's not going to be for a long time in terms of being affordable and something that an average gamer would have access to. And the fact that these consoles are capable of that, or at least the Xboxes are capable of that, automatically is going to give it a longer lifespan, because display technology is not going to like exponentially improve. Like I don't think you're going to see like 16K next year. Like that's going to take a couple of years to get to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the fact that they kind of built these, and I feel like with this console generation specifically, they've done the best job at future proofing themselves for displays that they reasonably saw on the horizon. It's not like you're going to improve on solid state memory in a significant way anytime soon. So they're good on the memory front. Obviously, size would be nicer, but it is what it is. They're good on the display front. They're good on the Bluetooth front right now. The only thing they're really lacking, I think Xbox might have this. I could be wrong. I feel like the Series X might have this. I know the PlayStation doesn't. Is Wi-Fi 6. That's the only other thing that might become more prevalent, that the consoles will not have, is 6th generation Wi-Fi. But again, in the grand scheme of things, relatively insignificant, considering that your Wi-Fi 5 connection will do more than you need it to do what these consoles need you to do.
Yeah.
So I think you'll be okay. See, I think it was going to last longer anyway.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree with you. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Finally, Daniel asks Micah, and you might have answered this question already. I don't remember you answering it. When will your son get the chance to become a gamer?
So this is a sticky wicket. I started when I was 5 in 1985, when my grandmother, much to the dismay of my parents, bought me a Nintendo Entertainment System with two paddles, as they called them, a light gun, and 2 games, Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, and that started it all. And so I think 5 might be too young. I know a family member of a friend. They have that family member is like a little kid, right? It's like 8 or something like that. And he is obsessed with video games. He is obsessed with them. Like his school papers are about video games. Like all he wants to do is play video games. And I appreciate the passion, but I feel like that, I'm a massive hypocrite. Like, go outside. But at the same time, I'm sitting in his office playing games. Like he's gonna come in, he's gonna see, and so I'll let him try, but he's got to be in like regular school first. You know what I mean? Like,
so it's tricky though. So like you talk about the kid that's obsessed with games. He's 8 years old. Believe me when I tell you, if it wasn't games,
it would be something
else. It would be something else. And it'll probably be something digital, because it's not necessarily the interaction. I think that plays some level of degree with it, but it's the instant feedback from the screen and the entertainment value more so than anything else. You know, if your son gets obsessed with like Disney movies and wants to watch shit on Disney Plus all the time,
yeah,
it's gonna happen regardless. Like I don't know that there's much you can do to stop it. I think the key is, and you know, I always got annoyed with my mother for it, but I'm glad she did it when I was a kid, is you just have to set the boundaries. You have to set the limits. You have to set the you know, make sure that they're doing other stuff, that they're not just, you know, full whole hog involved with it. And I think the biggest thing is that if you set those boundaries up front, if you limit what stuff they have access to, how long they have access to it, things of that nature, I think you can set yourself up for success, because then you're not taking something away. If anything, you can give more of it as time goes along to reward, you know, good behavior or good grades in school or other things that they're doing outside of that. And what's great is that consoles today, games today, have more ways than ever to build those safeguards in it, to be able to limit them electronically and not even have to worry about doing what my mom had to do, where she had to like hide the controllers or unplug the Super Nintendo and hide the power brick somewhere in the house where I couldn't find inside and have access to it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a real good idea. My dad, he got so mad one day, he ripped the Nintendo 64 out of the fucking wall while I was playing it and spiked it. And when because that's healthy, right? And I went to put it, you know, plug it back in just to see if it worked. Like, the thing was a tank, man.
I mean that's what Nintendo does, right? That's you know, able to survive nuclear fallout, essentially. So.
Yeah, they rage proof it, man. That's a good idea, though. I think that I'll still wait until he's.
Oh, I wouldn't. Know. I mean, he's what, 3 now, if I'm not mistaken.
He's 2.5. He's 2.5, and he already
hands yet.
Yeah, my wife gives him this thing, her phone, and he's just. I'm like,
so you've already started,
right? I'm like, please stop.
You're already down the path. Like me, you know, I'm in that same boat. Like my son is obsessed with, you know, either wants his iPad or wants to have the remote control in his hands.
Yeah.
So he can do what he does. Now, of course, mine does, you know, the Disney Plus version of channel flipping, which is really irritating. Or you think just because of how he is, where he watches like the same, you know, 2-minute sequence in a movie, like 30 times in a row.
Yeah.
which can get a little grating, but keeps him happy. So I can't complain. But yeah, it's already started. Like, it's already gone. Like learning how to use like my son, again, kids are crazy. Kids are sponges. They learn everything. I never taught so we have an Apple TV, and we have the current Apple TV remote, which I hate, which has like the touchpad
at the front. Yeah, I don't like it.
Or pre-order the new one immediately, because I'm just fuck that. I never showed him how to use it. He figured it out on his own. Like he was like 5. Like, that was really that was
man. It's wild, man. Like, my son, he doesn't know how to unlock the phone, but once it's unlocked, he'll go straight to the app that he wants, and he'll just click. I'm like, yo, what? Wow.
Yeah, you're already
like,
did
you teach him that? And she's like, no.
Well, there's an anecdote. So I read the Steve Jobs biography a couple years ago, and there's an anecdote from a reporter who was covering a story in like Colombia. And he was in like a very rural area of Colombia, like a small village on the outskirts, whatever. No technology, that kind of thing. And he had his first generation iPad with him. And the little boy that was there, he was like probably 5 years old or whatever. He just gave it to him, didn't explain anything to him. And the kid like was able to figure it out right away. Like how to work it and how to navigate around it. That says a lot about Apple's UX, and how intuitive it is. But it also, kids are smart, and
right,
and don't underestimate them ever, because they will always surprise you.
Yeah, man.
So That is it for the show this week. Thank you guys so much for going to densepixels.com/fans, joining the Discord, and submitting your questions to the post office. If you have not done so yet, you should do it. And get in on the chatter in the Discord and start some of the chatter in the Discord and all that jazz. Carrie would be very upset if I did not remember to remind you that on May 22nd, 8 p.m., premiering on YouTube, the Baltimore Gamer Symphony Orchestra is doing their spring show, which she had a huge hand in putting together. So definitely check that out if you like video game music. Don't forget to subscribe to Dense Pixels as well as the other TNP Studio shows wherever you get your podcast. While you're on the internet, as Mike is keen to say, don't forget to go to youtube.com/densepixels. Subscribe to us there as well. And then follow us all on Twitch TV. I am Dense Pixels Brad, Terrence is Apparition 410, and Carrie is Substance Carrie. So that is it for us this week. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we will see you all the next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.